Say what? Hey guys, how's it going? Kulprit here. I was just having a little fun with that clip. That was part of this TDM match on Azadi Palace that I played. I did pretty well, but you do see some crazy stuff like that. I dumped a whole mag into that guy prone. It had to be headshots. He couldn't be on spawn protection. I don't think. He's laying prone, right? I don't know. If anybody can tell me what the heck went on there, you'll see it again at the end of this video too in live action. That was crazy. Those things are frustrating, but they're luckily pretty few and far between here on Aftermath. So today the topic of discussion is going to be situational awareness. Why? Because again, it's one of those terms that everybody throws around and you're going to hear me talk a lot about as I talk about rush defense. So I wanted to clarify what I think situational awareness is, how one can go about gaining it, and basically just open a conversation on it. I'd like to hear your feedback too, guys. Again, another mutual kill here drives me crazy. Situational awareness, to me, it might be the most important skill in FPS games, in any game for that matter. You know, you hear about it a lot in Battlefield 3 for sure. Basically, what is it? I mean, for me, it's kind of a mix of, it's a, you know, when you combine map knowledge and experience. I mean, and you kind of, as you gain both, and you kind of develop this sixth sense of what's going on around you. It's subconscious. Like, you don't know why you might turn around suddenly, but you do, and next thing you know, there's a guy running up trying to knife you. You know, it's auditory. You know, it's auditory clues when it works. Obviously, Black Ops is having issues. Battlefield 3 has had their issues. It's just kind of, it's a sixth sense. You just use everything at your disposal, be it sound, visuals, just general, you know, understanding the flow of the maps. That's why I say map knowledge, and you just subconsciously combine it all together, and you seem like you're hacking, to be honest, when you're doing it right. There's really only one way to gain, you know, to improve your situational awareness, and that's to play a lot, and that's, you know, when these map packs come out, a lot of people are lacking that. You know, everybody knows how to handle themselves in a gunfight in Battlefield 3 at this point. But what you see is, you see a lot of people getting shot in the back. You see a lot of people getting shot from the sides. You see a lot of people getting their dog tags taken. Why? Because they're not aware of, you know, when they're in a hot zone, when they're in a really crappy position. You know, sometimes some things look good when you're in that little foxhole, so to speak, only to realize that there's an enemy spawn 15 feet behind you and you're just going to get destroyed. So it takes playtime. It takes just experience for you to develop this feeling of, all right, this is a main corridor. This is a hot zone. I cannot sleep in this area. I have to be on my toes, head on a swivel, because, you know, I can very easily get spawned on or just sniped out or whatever the case may be. You quickly learn where you want to be, where you don't want to be, where you can exhale a little bit, where you can't, where you don't want to go solo, where you want to wait for teammates, you know. And that, to me, is elevated on a rush defense. You basically have to understand what's going on around you more than any other facet of the game. On attack, you can dictate. You're dictating the speed, the tempo. You're dictating where the fight's going to be for the most part. You're telling the other team, this is how I want to play this round. Let's do this. Let's see who's best. Now, yes, of course, a better team on defense can absolutely dictate on offense. That's, in essence, what you're trying to do on defense, is take the initiative away from the attackers and impose your will on the attackers and funnel them into where you want the fights to be. But for the most part, you're in a reactionary role. So attackers, you don't so much have to think about things. You can just charge ahead for the most part and kill what's in front of you, so to speak. And, you know, yeah, you got to watch your six, but you try to keep moving enough that doesn't matter as much. On defense, you have to react. You have to understand what the other team is trying to do. That guy jumped through that window so quick. Surprised me there. I thought I could get both of them. You have to understand, you know, you're watching your channel, your alley, whatever the case may be. You're watching your assignment, which might be right flank, it might be left flank, it might be down the middle, it might be B corridor and bazaar, whatever it is. But at the same time, while you're watching what you're supposed to be watching, you have to watch that mini-map. And sometimes what you'll see is, I've gotten in the habit recently of, especially on defense, if I'm playing what I said in the other video, the anchor roll, which I'm going to get into more detail on. I just wanted to kind of get situational awareness understood as a basis before you hear me blabbering on and on about it more in other videos than I am right now. When I'm playing that anchor roll, you see, I'll maximize the map. I know you guys can't do it on console, is what I'm told, but on PC you can if you hit the M button by default. it'll almost double your mini-map. So what you can do now is you're in your spot, you're in your power position, you're playing that anchor role where you're fairly stationary. You move around somewhat, but you're covering one zone. And you're trying to lock that down. But what you need to do, even if you're not going to run to the left flank, say you're holding down the right flank, you're not going to run to the left flank if they need help. Your requirement is to be on the right. But what you need to do is you want to know what's going on over there. If you see a lot of red arrows on the left flank, you know your flank's going to be a little quiet. If you don't see a lot on the left, you should start, make sure you're locked and loaded and ready to go, because at any minute, chances are you're going to get an onslaught, you're going to get an attack, and you need to be ready for it. This is kind of what I'm talking about as far as situational awareness. Now, there's some degree of instinctual awareness there where, like I said, it's subconscious. There's not much you can do about that. Like I said, all you can do is play. Just play and play and play. If you're bad at rush, you want to get better at rush, play rush. Don't avoid it. Just get in there, take your lumps, play. If you're not so great on these new maps, play them. That was kind of my biggest thing about close quarters, is I felt like I wasn't good in them. They were very chaotic. I'm just going to play the hell out of them, and I'll gain map knowledge, I'll gain situational awareness. Nah, it never came, because it was just too chaotic. I don't know, and some people say they like it. That's your personal taste, but to me, you never gain that understanding of the flow of the maps. You never gain that situational awareness that, to me, really makes these maps and these matches interesting. On Aftermath, we have that. It's very chaotic, it's very close quarters, it's very urban, but there is flow to it, there's sense to it, there's a predictability almost. And if you play, and you play enough, and you play with your mind open, and you focus on what you're doing, and you learn, guys. You gotta learn. You can't play just with like a zombie. Think about what you're doing. Think about what the other team's doing. You're gonna start to notice patterns, and patterns can be countered, and that's what you're doing on defense. Now, like I mentioned, you want to be watching your map, right? So that here I thought I was gonna clean up a lot. You're watching your map. You're looking for enemies on your map. Well, the same goes true when you're playing by yourself, and you're not in a squad or whatever. Look at the minimap. Look at your teammates. If you see a ton of guys going left, well, maybe you want to go right, especially on defense, but at the same time, know that maybe you're not seeing enemies on the minimap, but the mob of bluebies tends to congregate towards the enemy. So, you got to figure that there's some good action over there. That's probably where the primary thrust of the enemy attack is. So keep that in mind. Me, what I tend to do, I tend to move to the right, move away from the crowd. I don't like going with the mobs. And I'll move to the right flank. If I don't see anything, I start pushing up slowly, because I don't want anybody to slip through me, because chances are I'm the only guy covering that flank. And then if I get to a point where I don't want to overextend, I don't want to go too far where, like I said, someone can slip through, I might pinch down towards the middle of the map and see if I can't get a good back rage on somebody fighting on that left flank. Now, it's a dangerous maneuver, because then, like I said, you're probably the only guy on the right. You're going to leave it wide open or exposed. But, sometimes you can really wreak a lot of havoc. You can clean up a lot of tickets. And if you're pretty sure that nobody slipped through, it's a great move. It makes a hell of a clip. And you should definitely start to try to do that. But overall, situational awareness is incredibly important on rush defense. It's incredibly important in the game. As I said, it's pretty much might be the single most important learnable skill in this game. And it really just comes from experience. It comes from map knowledge. It comes from playing the game and learning. I can't stress that enough. You need to know what's going on around you. It doesn't matter how good your gun skills are. If you keep getting shot in the back, you're not aware of what's going on around you, and you're making poor decisions. It's not lag or you just bad gun skills or whatever. You should not be getting shot in the back. It happens. I mean, sure, it does happen, but if it's a common thing for you, you really need to analyze what you're doing wrong and where you're doing it. Are you venturing out too far into hot, contested areas? You see here me, just a little tip as I rush up these stairs. I'm always throwing a grenade up there first because, oh, these guys here. This is that little clip. Watch this, guys. I see him. I turn the corner. I see him. I bunny hop, just try to take fire. He never shoots at me, but he was there a long time. That's a full magazine into his head, and he's at 60%. That drives me nuts. I have no idea. Did he have a helmet on? I don't know. Anyway, guys, there's my little talk about situational awareness. You'll hear me talk about it a lot as I go into roles and things like that. It's incredibly important. You got to get that experience. You got to put in that time on the sticks. Like always, guys, let me know what you think. Let me hear your feedback in the comments. I always appreciate that. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.